Hi, my name is Noel Paul, and I work for Elanco Animal Health, a division of Eli Lilly and Company. My role is Global Leader of Corporate Responsibility, and I'm pleased to talk to you today about my experience and our experience as Elanco with the ALP program within Craner's Executive MBA programs. I had the benefit of participating as a student and graduated from the Purdue Executive MBA program in the year 2000. As a sponsor of the recent ALP program, I've been asked to talk a little bit about my experience as the sponsor, some of the project work, as well as to offer some advice to students as you think about taking on various projects. I will say that it was very beneficial for Elanco. It was very beneficial for me professionally and personally, and I hope that the students got as much out of it as we did. And I'm sure they did after we briefed with them on completion of the project. So let me touch on a few questions that I was asked to cover, and hopefully this will give you some more perspective on what you can expect. First was, how did Elanco choose the project and to suggest it to the Purdue students? So I'll walk you through a little bit of a journey on this, and that is that, first of all, Elanco's business is in the food animal business. So we make products for healthy animals in both the food animal space as well as the companion animal space. And under the umbrella of corporate social responsibility, one of our main causes is hunger. So we're committed to providing everyone in the world enough nutritious food, and our hunger cause really drives the connection to our overall business under our corporate social responsibility umbrella. We were looking for a way of creating not only corporate social responsibility, but also the concept of shared value. Where can we do social good and business good? And one of the target areas was there are millions of smallholder farmers in poverty around the world, especially in developing countries, but we didn't really understand their unmet needs from an agricultural standpoint, from a livestock standpoint. And so the project we put forth to the ALP students was, can you help us look at the global smallholder farmer as a potential market segment so that we're not only helping those that are in poverty become more food secure, but we're also helping them with our capabilities by providing animal health products to their animals. So it was a real business project. It wasn't busy work. We asked the students to really help us understand this so that we could drive our business strategy. So the next question is, what were the main points of interaction and decision points on the project? So I would classify there were three really key steps. One was the data gathering. Second was the analysis using that data. And then finally, third, were the strategic recommendations made by the students based on the data and the analysis they completed. And we really gave them access to external resources as well as internal resources within Elanco to help go through that journey. So the third question is, what actions did the students undertake to contribute to the success of this project? And I will say the project was successful. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that towards the end. I think the actions that they took were related to the three pieces we talked about earlier around the three key elements of the project, on the data, the analysis, and the strategic recommendations. From a data standpoint, I thought the team did an outstanding job of not only using the resources that we provided them as potential sources of data, but they went the extra mile and actually identified other sources of data and brought that to bear into their analysis. And then I think the group did a really good job of analyzing not only the specific questions we were asking, but also helped challenge us to think that maybe we should be asking more targeted questions, or maybe we should be thinking about a more focused area to be able to do a deeper analysis. So there was this tension, and a positive tension of back and forth between focusing on the entire globe, or maybe focusing more on a specific region, in which case it was Africa, because then the students could go deeper and give us more insights about a smaller market segment. And I thought that was well positioned from the students. And finally, I think one of the things that they did really good to contribute to the success of the project was communication. So not only the strategic analysis was important, but also the whole communication throughout the project was a very strong characteristic of success and a contributor to their success overall from the project. The last couple questions are related to what can students expect from the client, and also what advice would I have as a past sponsor to students. So on the first point related to students is, what can students expect from the client? And maybe I'll speak from my experience on what should students expect. And I think the client should be engaged. The client should be available. I think providing guidance to the students is really an important aspect to contribute to a successful outcome, especially for the benefit of the client, so that the client gets something that's usable, impactful, and the students can feel like, yes, we actually made a positive contribution. I think also transparency on understanding the internal dynamics of the company and how will this information be used. Are there political challenges? Are there influence points? Are there key data, or is there going to be resistance in some areas of the findings that the team needs to have that insight? So I think a very high degree of transparency and trust is really important. Finally, I think the role of the client is to provide coaching. This is a development experience for the students, and you will grow from doing the ALP. And so we want you as clients, especially as an alum, I wanted to make sure that I was helping the next generation of Krannert grads be able to grow through this experience. So I think the element of coaching, and I would encourage you as students to ask for that coaching. Ask about how does the sponsor feel about the strategic analysis? How do they feel about the communication? How do they feel about you as a leader? Are you growing as a leader from the initial interaction they had with you to the final interaction they had with you? Because to make this the most richest development experience for you as future leaders coming out of Krannert. And finally, the communication piece, right? So the students, I encourage you to have very open and frequent communications. Ask for the availability, challenge the client and say, hey, if we want to be successful, we need access to you, or we need access to your internal team. We need access to the external resources, and we want you to be extremely open with us. And if it's by email, by phone, by Skype, we used whatever communication mechanisms were available to keep those lines of communications open. And lastly, what's my final advice to the students is two things. One, be all into the project. You're working full-time, you've got classes, you've got exams, but this is a chance for you to really have an impact, and that will be very realistic for you as you take on leadership responsibilities in business. When you're a leader, you'll always have pressure. You'll always have competing priorities, but you need to be all in. Focus really on what's the greatest impact you can have with the work you're doing. And secondly, it's see yourself as a leader of this project. A lot of times students will come into a project and said, I don't know the industry. I'm working with people who have 20 plus years in this industry and I'm relatively new. But you know what? No one in the company is probably gathering the information that you're gathering, and no one is taking the time to do the analysis that you're doing. Because if you're doing the work, it's because someone else was not able to do the work. So you should see yourself as the leader of this project, regardless of whether you have 20 or 25 years in industry or not. So that's the way you can add value. So be all in and see yourself as leaders. My closing comments is really around what did the end game mean to Elanco and to my role as global leader of corporate responsibility once the project was complete. And I'm pleased to say that the impact was very positive. Based on the results of the ALP project, our company leadership really started to hear and think differently about how we approach the concept of shared value and how we think about the smallholder farmer as a target market segment, as well as how we can express our cause to those farmers that are struggling, both in poverty as well as in great and most effective optimal animal health management. And so now the leadership has said, can we include this deeper analysis as part of our strategic planning process? So yes, the impact was positive, and it definitely helped us achieve the information that we were looking for to help influence our strategic planning process. So best of luck as you approach ALP, and congratulations on being part of the Krannert Executive MBA program, and look forward to having you join me as an alum.